filmed it.
It's a place of dialogue and understanding. So let's spirit that.
All right, I'll keep my.
He's gotta go. He's gotta go, brother. He's done this twice in a row.
Thank you. I'm here peacefully, just to listen.
Just be advised if you are posting anything.
I just filmed it. I didn't say anything.
I'm just saying if you are posting anything that's of a hateful nature.
Yeah, of course.
Right.
I don't engage in hate at all.
Okay. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, of course, 100%.
There's lots of people here with cameras.
We condemn racism, hate, all that stuff. We're here to create dialogue, greater understanding, unity. No, he just came in now. He came in now, went in front of me, gave me the finger, and was blocking me. He was kind of like Antifa.
So he thinks that you're somebody else, obviously.
No, I'm politically active, but there's misunderstanding in the media.
Okay.
But I'm here peacefully.
Oh, I see.
I haven't done anything.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone.
All right.
We won't be having any live questions, so if you guys just write down your question on a piece of paper. If you need a pen, take your time. We'll have volunteers.
So that's the deal.
What's that?
That's what's going on. There's misunderstanding.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want any trouble. We're here to listen and ask questions, right? So it's a public event.
Yeah, we're here to keep the peace.
All I did was film this.
As other people are doing.
Yeah.
So are we.
Oh, God. I just want to.
Okay, so let's get the question and answer session going. Can I invite our three speakers up on the stage, please? Laili, Fayyaz, and Mustafa Farooq, can you join me on stage? Is there any questions that still need to be gathered? Just raise your hand quickly and we'll come around and gather.
Asking some questions.
I can't. I'm older than this. I can't write them.
We work for that.
should the government's role, if any, to address extremism? What is the best way to educate ordinary people? So it's a general question, so only of you are willing to answer. Can we take this off?
I can project. Everybody's back, can hear me?
Yes.
Okay, well, let me repeat the question.
I'm sorry?
What should the government's role, if any, what should be the government's role, if any, to address extremism? That's number one. And number two is, what is the best way to educate ordinary people? So I think from our perspective at the National Council of Canadian Muslims, and I also want to just thank the organizers, because I think the first role that's so critical is engage in dialogue and to identify the problem. Leadership begins at the top, and that's why it's important and it's critical for government to be speaking and speaking courageously about the role of the alt-right and the role that Islamophobia and anti-Semitism and indeed all forms of hate represent in making Canadians feel unsafe. Because it's a public safety issue, and that's why government should be speaking about it boldly and publicly. The second thing, of course, is actually taking some action. Words are important, but they're not enough. And we were pleased last year to see that the government took a step to ban Combat 18 and Blood and Honor. That's a step in the right direction, but more needs to happen. The reality that there are organizations like the 3%ers that are actively training, that are actively militarizing, and that they operate in places like Calgary is unacceptable. And it's incumbent upon governments to do more and to take steps to address this pernicious influence and this public safety issue in Canada. And I think the third thing that government needs to do is to look at broader systemic questions that give rise and that fuel extremism in terms of alt-right extremism and other forms of extremism. It's important that education and that research takes place to explore how these issues arise. Obviously, the work of OPB and other organizations like that is critical. So thinking about more dialogue, more research, more education is critical. I'll pass it over if you'd like to take a second.
Just quite a bit. I think maybe the only other thing I can for OPB, so like he was saying, I think what OPB has tried to do is look at some of the trends and what's happening within the province. So there is some information available globally, and of course there are links, as we know, but also trying to see what's happening a bit more locally and what's affecting communities. In terms of educating, we do training events. So I mentioned the resiliency project that we work on in partnership with a couple different groups. So right now, that's specifically, as I said, for service providers and community leaders. But if there was an interest, we would definitely be willing to have a conversation about that. And we're always trying to think about different ways to meet with different people in the community. But the easiest way sometimes is when we get that request, and then we can work directly with the communities.
There's nothing more to say, I think, so I'll let it be. Right back to our overview, please.
Thank you for your responses here. We have a question here. Do you have any statistics on hate crimes in Alberta, and are hate crimes underreported?
what are some common types of hate crimes in Alberta?
Excuse me.
Last year, the Alberta stats are important, but let me first frame a broader perspective. Last year, StatsCan reported through independently documented statistical evidence that there was a 151% increase in hate-related incidents and attacks against the Muslim community. 151% increase. Can you imagine if we had a 151% increase in burglaries across Canada? I think people would be worried about that, and we would have questions about what we're doing to address that. This year, we had a 42% increase in attacks against religious institutions. And we've seen that reflected. I mean, many of us know that for the first time last Ramadan, we had security at mosques, and we had security at synagogues. And it's just tragic and it's sad and it's deeply concerning that this is the level to which our beautiful country, and sort of speaking to Sheikh Garvey's points about love and about that feeling of humanity, it's tragic that we've gotten to this point. Alberta, the numbers for Alberta are relatively consistent, relating to hate-related crimes, and I don't have the exact stats with me on this moment, but the rates of hate-motivated crimes and incidents in Alberta are relatively consistent with the national average.
We have some stats that are included in the Resiliency Project. Unfortunately, I don't know them off my head, but it kind of summarizes some of the stats that we just being spoken about, and it shows a graph like between the provinces and what's happening. So I know that's what we shared. I'm sorry I don't have it here today, and I know it's from a few years ago as well.
The part two, are hate crimes underreported for what?
Well, I think generally speaking, a lot of issues, but especially some of these sensitive issues, like reporting hate crime, there's a lot of different factors as to why it's probably underrepresented, and that includes hate incidences as well. So some of it is trust. I know I've been participating with the Coalition of Creating Equity in Edmonton, and I know there's a few different groups in Alberta also looking at these issues, so we've been bringing together what they call stakeholders and looking at specifically incidences of hate crime. So, having trust in authorities to be able to report is a big issue, and there are different factors that affect that. So we're always trying to think about different ways, again, to reach out to communities. We had people there from community service agencies, from community groups, and people that are open to talking about these issues and trying to build these relationships to kind of increase it. And also, I think in terms of addressing the issue and also letting people know that there's options. So yes, of course, there is reporting to police, but then you can also report to different organizations. There was AMPAC was there as well, the Brit Center. So there are a lot of different options available to individuals. So if they're not, let's say, ready to take that step to report directly to police, if they feel more comfortable, and often it is the case, speaking to someone that they know, then maybe that community member can work as a bridge to eventually getting this reported elsewhere.
I'll just say really briefly that according to the last StatsCan Fulsome report, StatsCan also noted independently through their research that hate crimes are indeed significantly underreported. And it's important that folks do speak up, that they do report. But we also have to understand the systemic barriers. The reality is that many folks feel that their concerns are not dealt with. That we have people who go around, who spread hate, who spread feelings of fear in our community, and nothing is done to address them. No charges are laid. And if we don't address those systemic areas, if we don't address those feelings where things are reported and nothing happens to deal with those folks, it's going to be difficult for us to see that. So again, I completely agree with my esteemed colleague, report, but also put pressure on your elected officials. Let them know that, the reality is that there are people, like there's organizations like the 3% that are actively promoting a hateful message. Everybody knows about them, and nothing is being done directly to address them. And we have to see action on both fronts.
what efforts have been made to communicate with people who have extremist views? Again, what efforts have been made to communicate with people who have extremist views? Mostly extremist views, perhaps formed due to misunderstandings, which is why communication is so relevant and key. So, I mean, the audience here is primarily Calgarian. You guys don't want to hear my views or hear me speak, so we'll give our distinguished panel the opportunity to share their views as well. And if I feel that I disagree with them, then no, if I want to add to that, I definitely will. Thank you.
Just give me a moment, so I just want to understand a bit more. Okay. What I can say, so referring back to our Evolve program, so we do offer services to help people lead extremist and innovative groups. These are the words that we use. But it is a voluntary program, so we don't actively go out and try to engage with groups for a number of different reasons. But in terms of trying to assist someone kind of moving forward and making some positive changes in their life, there has to be some sense of kind of motivation within that person. And that's one of the main reasons why our program is voluntary. So even though we may get referrals from, could be a family member, could be a service provider, we prefer that that individual contacts us directly themselves. From there, with some of the slides I was sharing and in ways of kind of interacting, usually what I would do, the first step would be to try to meet with the person face to face as soon as I can, and try to get an understanding of what kind of motivated the person to contact us, if they're able to identify specific areas or things that they're looking for help with. Sometimes that takes a bit of time, but what I've been finding so far is usually there are a couple of very specific things that a person will identify, and that could be anything, and sometimes it is meeting basic needs, it could be other things, but we go at the pace of the individual. We don't confront a person's beliefs up front, because if you think of whether it's someone with extremist views or not, normally people do not react very well to that. Most people would like to be respected, and this is a person that I wouldn't know, right, meeting firsthand. So we really work at relationship building, so whether it's myself meeting with the person a lot individually, or we can bring in different mentors and consultants, like I said, we work as a team. And through the relationship building process, then people, like anyone else really in society, we feel more comfortable kind of sharing more about themselves, what they're looking for, and to this point, usually it's brought up by the individual themselves. They are able to express, when there is a trusted relationship, I answer the question what I learned, I want to make some changes, and from there we can go forward. It's a little bit difficult if the person feels kind of pressured. So that's kind of what I can say. I have been working with a few individuals in that way, and it's just works well when the person has identified that for themselves and they would like to make that effort in that area.
This question is from a teacher. As teachers, how can we help promote an environment of respect, pluralism, and understanding, and minimize polarization or extremism? Or repeat the question. It's important. Take a couple of seconds for the question to sink in, right? So, and these are great questions, by the way. So we do appreciate, your questions and also your feedback as well. As teachers, how can we help promote an environment of respect and pluralism and understanding? What can we do to minimize polarization or extremism as well?
Well, and I think some other speakers had mentioned this too, is thinking about young people. I know you mentioned that when you were opening up. So maybe one example I can share, So we had a request from a school in Edmonton to come in and do a workshop with youth. So again, this works well because we're not going and saying, you know, we're going to deliver these presentations. It came from a school. So we had some conversations about what they were looking for. It was for grade 11 and 12 students who were studying psychology and sociology. And they've been looking at related topics. So they had just done a one-day seminar, I guess, on cults. So some things there are some similarities. So anyway, they asked us to come in. So I went in with our forensic psychologists. We put together a workshop. We looked at these issues. They were also concerned about the topic of gangs as well. And we often get questions about that. So even though there are similarities, it is quite different. And we were working specifically in this other area. So what we did to accommodate the request is we talked about some of the similarities between gang recruitment and recruitment into extremist and hate-motivated groups, and some of the differences. And then we encouraged the students afterwards, if this was something that they would like to have a positive impact on, including social polarization. Sorry, I should mention that. We talked about that directly. That we would leave it up to them to maybe think about a project that they could do within their school, whether that's using social media or drama, some creative way to kind of express this that's a little bit more comfortable then for their peers. And we've been asked to come back and work with 2 other groups now in the school. So I think this is really interesting because they are young, they're the next generation, and we'll see where this goes.
So, I mean, first of all, I'm a lawyer, and I won't proclaim to have any expertise in pedagogy. I will say that if there are people who would like to learn more about how you can create more inclusive, more diverse classrooms with an acknowledgement of Islamophobia, anti-racism, anti-Semitism, NCCM does provide resources. We have staff that goes around to different schools, that trains teachers, that trains students to address these kinds of questions. But I would say in general, as a general motivation, perhaps the most important place, and this is, you know, as an observer looking in on the world of pedagogy, not as a person who can speak with any authority whatsoever, perhaps maybe the most important place is to start is from a place of humility and from a place of learning. To take the time to learn more about issues. I mean, there are teachers who wear kippas and turbans, and I've spoken to them, who can't be teachers in Quebec. Take the time to learn about that. Talk to your students about this massive attack on civil liberties that's taking place, as well as, you know, when January 29th comes. We have folks here who are wearing the green square, which is really beautiful, and it's a way to mark, you know, the tragedy that took place in Quebec City Mosque. Take the time to learn, explore, find resources, talk to people like Sheikh Fayyaz locally to bring them into your classroom, to engage with your students. I think that's probably, from an outside perspective, a good place to start.
What can be done about the media that is spreading misinformation and creating fear and division within the general population? So again, what can be done about the media that is spreading misinformation and creating fear and division, whether it be Islam, Judaism, or any faith tradition, or any other lifestyle for that matter as well? I'm going to add some of that in there.
I asked that question.
This is a very interesting question.
She never addressed it in her speech.
I could just share a comment on.
Pretty pathetic.
Maybe as some people have said, just having discussions about the topics, maybe sharing information that can help inform the public could help if people feel comfortable doing that. But I think it's a difficult one. It might be, if you're a member of a group, for example, it could be a matter of having someone designated as a media liaison person. It's good to have some information and to be a bit aware of how you can work with the media. I know that NCCM has information on that as well for people looking for that, knowing your rights and dealing with the media. And maybe the only thing I can say quickly is feeling free to share positive stories as well. I know that certainly different communities I've been in, we have done that. I've been in a community that there was quite a bit of news stories really highlighting some pretty negative things about the community. So we made a point with community members, with a lot of different members of the community, to highlight the positive things happening, and news agencies did come out and report on that, and that was really nice to really kind of, you know, there's more to a community than a particular issue. So that was helpful.
And I think and I think this question perhaps is more for the organizers. And I think it's good, it's a really good question. And pertinent as well, considering how crucial this topic is, and how important this topic is. What are we doing to spread the word about these resources available to help? This was my first time hearing about such a great topic, which means that perhaps there are many in our community who don't even know about what's happening today or this afternoon. Maybe one of the organizers? Yeah, absolutely, sure.
So I would put the onus onto each person. First of all, the organizers have done a tremendous job. Can we all just give them a quick round of applause? Keep your prayers and your lives. You know, this is not an easy thing to do for folks, you know, who are volunteers or setting these kinds of things up. And the onus is on each and every person to reach out, to find out more information. And it's a little bit on organizations like us to spread the word and to get it out there. But it's also on each person, you know, to get out there, to learn, to educate, to engage in dialogue, to call organizations like NCCM, like this incredible organization, like Fayyaz, you know, like the Organization Prevention of Violence. If you think that your community needs to hear about this, just give us a call. I'm sure somebody's going to be there to chat with.
And I think that brings us to the end of our Q&A. Perfect. All right.
So thank you, speakers, again for answering those questions. I'll just actually do this. Yeah, so to wrap things up, I would now like to introduce Mike Sheikh for closing remarks. So Mike Sheikh is a respected member of the business community. He is perhaps first and foremost regarded as a humanitarian, tireless volunteer, an ethical community leader, and exceptionally proud citizen and ambassador of Alberta, Canada. Among his many involvements, Mike is currently a director of Alberta Children's Hospital, chair of Educational Matters, and the national chair of Imagination Campaign for Paralympic Foundation of Canada, and board members of other various public and private companies as part of his professional career as a businessman, entrepreneur, and chartered accountant. Among his many accomplishments and involvement in the community, Mike has lived his life following his mantra, learn, earn, and return. So please join me in welcoming Mike Sheikh.
Good afternoon, assalamu alaikum. That was a long introduction. Thank you anyway. Before I begin, I've got two distinguished guests over here, Irfan Saber and Mekun Henry. Thank you for coming. They are our MLAs. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us. I'm especially pleased to see that so many busy people have turned out at this event. I thought they were coming to see me or listen to me, but it was uncertain. They came to listen to our distinguished speakers, very extraordinary speakers, as well as the subject matter experts. So dear brothers and sisters, thank you. Thank you for your interest, and thank you for coming today. On behalf of everyone here today, I thank our speakers for taking the time to speak with us on these very important topics. Dr. Samina Baliwak, would you please come to the stage? Thank you. As I thank everybody. Ms. Yazdani, thank you very much for taking the time and speaking to us regarding rising threats from the ultra-right wings, hate group, and Muslim extremists. Ms. Yazdani has traveled all the way from Edmonton, can you imagine that, and to share her thoughts on this topic. We are very grateful for the time and effort you have taken to share your thoughts on a very important issue. And by the way, your leadership in OPD is very much appreciated. Your work on violence prevention is much needed. Could you, Dr. Samina, could you please present our token of appreciation to Ms. Yazdani? Our next speaker was Mr. Mustafa Farooq. We thank you from the bottom of our heart, speaking to us on rising hate crimes, Islamophobia, and identity politics in Canada. I chaired the Calgary Police Commission for 8 years. Therefore, I am very tuned to this issue. This issue has been escalated and being elevated by a president south of our borders. Since we are seeing this threat more and more on social media, dear brother Mustafa, your comments are very timely. I believe we can benefit from understanding the issue, what we must do to mitigate this peacefully. Your comments are especially helpful for Muslims living in Canada. And also, Mustafa has traveled all the way from Ottawa to be here with us, and thank you for coming over and helping us. Mustafa is also doing quite a bit of work on Bill 21, and Mustafa, we appreciate all the work you're doing on Bill 21, and keep doing the work. We are all behind you. Imam Fayyaz Tilly, we thank you very much, sir, for sharing your thoughts on the constructive role of Muslims in secular, pluralistic, democratic society, social, religious inhabitation, and constructive opportunities. I repeat the word, constructive opportunities. This topic is very close to my heart. In my speeches in the past, I have been advocating and promoting a constructive role of Muslims in Canada. Imam Sahib, your presentation is very informative and enlightening. By the way, your enthusiasm is contagious. You talked about the knowledge. Dear sir, the purpose of this event is knowledge. And thank you for bringing that up. Could you, Dr. Sabine Basra, could you present our token of appreciation to As we said, that politicians don't come late, but we have Dr. Yasin Chaudhry just arrived. Thank you for being here. He's also MLA. Thank you for being here. Friends, this event would not be possible without the help and a lot of work of several organizers. May I name a few of them? Nabil Abdullah, Dr. Samina Bajwa, Mazakay Naqvi, Riaz Ahmed, and Mashood Saqib, to mention a few. Can you please join me thanking all these distinguished individuals helping us with that? And one more thank you goes to the volunteers. We have a lot of volunteers and we're very blessed to have those volunteers from Mosaic and PSS, Pakistan Student Society. Thank you for helping us this morning. Could you please give a round of applause for this? Thank you for listening to me. Appreciate that. Come on.
Thank you, Mike Shea. So thank you all again for being here, and a special thank you again to our amazing speakers who have provided us with an informative seminar and taken the time out to be here. Please join me one last time to give them a round of applause. Thank you, Tahir, for the videography and taking the time to be here as well. So, so now I'd like to just conclude the seminar for today. Please help yourself to some refreshments in the back. Stay tuned also for future events by CMPJ, such as the March 4th seminar coming up at the University of Calgary. For more information, feel free to talk to any of the CMPJ board members so we can provide you with more information. Namaz will also be announced soon, inshallah, so just stay aware of that. But thank you all again, once again.
I'm going to restart the feed. I want to ask a few questions here.